Coming up on today's show, Hackett, is he going to be gone after the season? Well, Peter King from NBC Sports believes that is the case, so we're going to talk about that on today's show and why the Broncos aren't just cutting their losses right now and firing the clown show that is Nathaniel Hackett. Plus, I saw an interesting article out there that I wanted to bring to your attention about whether or not the Broncos should just completely gut the whole roster, tear it all down by trading away all their star players. So we got that on today's show. But let's start things off by looking at this interesting little tidbit from Peter King via Zach Kelberman. Peter King saying the Broncos are expected to fire Nathaniel Hackett after his first season as head coach. You think? No surprise right there. I think it will not be surprised if Nathaniel Hackett makes it to the end of the season as Denver's coach, but I will be extremely surprised if he isn't a one and done. So it's not new information that Hackett is on the hot seat. He's past the hot seat. He's getting fired. He is. It is just a question of when. I don't see any way the Broncos do not fire him, barring them winning out, which is just not going to happen. So that's why I don't see a way. Now, I understand for all of you that say there's no argument to fire someone mid-season. You don't accomplish anything. This isn't college football. You don't need to expedite the recruiting. And I get that. I do. But this is just beyond bad. And here's what I'll say to all of you that say, just wait till after the season. You know why you fire him mid-season? Because look what the Panthers did. They fired Matt Rule mid-season. And they've won just as many games under their interim head coach, Wilkes, since he took over as the Broncos have this whole season with Hackett. So you see, to me, fire him now. Start winning football. Start winning games. That's a lot more fun than losing. Do you like winning or losing more? If you like winning more, fire Hackett so that we can start winning more. Because I've got some sad facts I want to share with you all. I was going to say fun facts. They're not fun. There's nothing fun about this. Denver has 7 games with 1 touchdown this season. 7 games. Think about that. They've only played 11. And 7 times, they've only scored 1 touchdown. Okay? They have 14.3 points per game to show for themselves, which is not only the worst in the NFL, it is the worst in the NFL since 2000. This was supposed to be an awesome offense. I remember back in March or February when Hackett got hired and they brought him to a Nuggets game and they put him on the Jumbotron and they asked him and his OC Outen, what's this offense going to be like this year? And they said, we're going to score a lot of points. Wow, did that not age well? Plus, third down, they are the bottom in the NFL. Oh, no, red zone. Third down, they're 30th. God forbid, they're not 32nd. The gold zone, as Hackett calls it, it's the dead zone. But third down, a place where Hackett says they spent so much time and practice working on, they're 30th. If your project, if your baby is third down and you're 30th, I could do better. You could do better. Anyone could do better. Now, I will say this, not in defense of Hackett, but I think it is worth noting that Denver has had a total of 10 starters at some point be on IR, including 8 right now. Simmons is off of it and someone else who I'll think of later. But 10 different starters have gone on IR. That sucks, but the Broncos, even with those 10 starters, let's be honest, they still would suck, right? I don't see a reason to believe that Garett Bolles being on the field is going to turn the season around. So you tell me, guys. I'm a little fired up right now. Should the Broncos fire Hackett right now, or should they wait until after the season? What camp are you in? I'm not going to even ask, should they fire Hackett? We're past that point. It is, when do you want to fire him? Right now or after the season? Now, I will put out a little bit of an offer or a teaser, if you will. If we get 50 subscribers from today's video, I will do a Nathaniel Hackett replacements video to keep you guys up to date on the latest coaching buzz, hot boards, popular names out there that could be the next head coach for the Denver Broncos. We got to get 50 subscribers off of today's video, though. So if you've already subscribed, send it to a friend, send it to a family member so we can get another Hackett replacement video. Let's move on to the second half of today's show, and that is whether or not the Broncos should be having a complete fire sale this offseason. Of course, this is not going to happen now. We are past the NFL trade deadline. But in March, right, leading up to the draft, should Denver be selling all their big assets and looking to fully rebuild? So, High Huddle from Sports Illustrated tweeted out 3 players the Broncos could look at trading in 2023 for a rebuild and a winning culture. Now, I'm not going to share any quotes from it. You're welcome to go read it yourself. I did think it was a little unfair that all the players they want to trade are just because the team has lost while they've been there, and I don't think the players are the fault, especially these guys. But we'll start off with maybe the reason why you clicked on to today's show, Justin Simmons. Could the Broncos trade, in my opinion, the most undervalued, underappreciated defensive player in football, and that is Justin Simmons. Now, before we even look at stats or give any takes, I think it's important to get the finances in front of you because anytime a trade happens, we have to see, do the numbers check out? If the trade were to happen, it would be before June 1st, and the dead cap hit for Denver in 2023 is manageable, just $7.5 million. A 10.6 cap savings for 2023. He's got a cap hit of 18.1. So the numbers check out. If you wanted to make a trade happen, you're not moving heaven and earth in terms of his salary to get that done. I think going into this offseason, every option has to be on the table. I don't think they should trade Justin Simmons, though. I think trading Justin Simmons is not going to get you, A, what he's probably worth. I mean, Jamal Adams went for a first, and I think the league learned maybe you don't trade a first-round pick for a safety. And you don't want to get just a second for a guy who's not going to, like, whoever you get in the second round, it's probably not going to be as good as Justin Simmons. So for that reason, I'm going to pass on trading Simmons, but I do think you have to pick up the phone, right? You have to see if someone's going to give you an offer you can't refuse, then maybe I'm inclined. Now, Simmons, the last 4 seasons, like I said, has been extremely underappreciated. I mean, he has been rock solid. This year, of course, the injuries early on have not helped, but go through 2019 through 2021, 14 interceptions. I mean, when you think of pickmasters, Justin Simmons doesn't really come to mind for your average NFL fan, but he's right there with the best DBs in the league. Now, what could make this trade a little bit easier is this guy, Caden Stearns, who I'm a huge fan of. Sucks to see him on IR. But 4 interceptions in his career. When he filled in for Justin Simmons at the start of the year, he was awesome. I mean, he was so good it made you wonder, is Kareem Jackson going to lose his starting role when Simmons comes back? Because you have to start Stearns. There's no way you can sit him after his 2 interception performance in the Texans game or whatever, or the Niners game earlier this year. So that is the first trade candidate. Second one. Courtland Sutton. Now, this is a player that I could warm up to the idea of trading a lot easier than Justin Simmons. And I like Courtland Sutton. This is not an anti-Courtland Sutton show. But I could wrap my head around Courtland Sutton being dealt, especially because the Broncos were close to trading Jerry Jeudy, and Courtland Sutton has just not lived up to the contract he got, the extension. Now, like Simmons, let's at least look at the numbers here. Same thing for Simmons. It's much more manageable than maybe you thought it would be. The dead cap hits a little bit higher. It's 11.4. It's not big savings, a hair under $7 million. But we're not talking about Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan type of level of dead cap hit. And Courtland Sutton, like I said, go back to that 2019 season when he really came out and emerged as what I thought could be a lower end or a higher end wide receiver 2, lower end wide receiver 1. Since then, unfortunately, the ACL injury in 2020 just wiped that whole season away, essentially. But last year, and we'll talk more about last year in a moment, 776 yards, 2 touchdowns. This year, 688 yards and 1 touchdown, halfway across the midway point of the season. Here's why I could wrap my head around trading Courtland Sutton. I love Courtland Sutton a lot of the time, but he just disappears. He goes through these dry spells like this year. Week 6 through 8, 3 games where he had a combined 6 receptions. I mean, for whatever reason, and I don't know if you want to put it all on Sutton, on a quarterback, because he's had a handful of starting quarterbacks, the inevitable is Courtland Sutton disappears for stretches of a season. Last year was very bad. I mean, it was not good to watch because weeks 9 through week 16, the highest he had was 4 receptions. A lot of 2 receptions for 12 to 20 yards, one reception against the Lions, Sutton makes himself at least manageable or digestible to trade because of these stretches of the year where he just vanishes. And you need someone who you gave a lot of money to, 4 years, $60 million extension to not vanish, right? You pay top dollar receivers because when the going gets tough for the quarterback, they're supposed to help make things easier. And Sutton, while he does have some good games, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that Courtland Sutton is a bad receiver. But I was talking about this with Sam Brown. Some of the OGs of the channel know who Sam is. Who do you think is a better receiver, Courtland Sutton or T. Higgins? Producer Nick, Courtland Sutton or T. Higgins? You can unmute yourself.
Going T. Higgins.
I mean, T. Higgins is a wide receiver 2 on his team, and Sutton's a wide receiver 1 on the Broncos. That kind of gets where I'm going at here with Sutton, where I like him a lot, but those weeks where he disappears, it makes you wonder, is this really what we're paying for? Now, we're going to go to player number 3 in just a moment, but we've got an awesome deal for all of our viewers today. When you go to Fanatics, specifically, chatsports.com/DEN shirt. That link is in the comments and the description of today's show. You can get this awesome long sleeve t-shirt that is on sale right now. So, holiday season, it is here. It's not even around the corner. It is here, baby. So make sure you get yourself or a loved one this awesome, over there, Broncos long sleeve shirt when you go to chatsports.com/DEN shirt. Third trade candidate from Mile High Huddle, Garett Bolles, the left tackle for our Denver Broncos. Let's start with the finances, right? Pretty manageable. Just an $8 million dead cap hit if you were to be traded before June 1st. Cap savings of $10 million. So, once again, we check this box in terms of anytime you want to talk about trading a big-name player, we got to look at, well, if he's got a huge dead cap hit, it's probably not going to happen. And here's what I'm going to say. Who is trading for Garett Bolles right now? Who is lining up to trade for the holding machine with a broken left leg that is Garett Bolles? I think he's a good left tackle. I don't think he is a franchise left tackle. That might be a bad take or an unpopular opinion. I've never been crazy high on 72. He's been the best player on this Broncos offensive line for the last 3 years or so, but he also hasn't had much competition to really push him. Now, the big question is, who's going to take on an $18 million cap hit for someone that is coming off a pretty significant injury? I don't think you're going to find many suitors lining at the door or dialing the phone for the Denver Broncos front office. I will say this. If you were to find someone, say like the Chicago Bears, right, who want to build around Justin Fields, it's not a fantastic draft class this year in terms of offensive linemen. Maybe they make an offer for Bolles. They can get him for what they think is cheap or a good deal. You better use whatever pick you get for him on an offensive lineman. If you take Garett Bolles and replace him and get a pick and use that on like a linebacker, I will riot because the offensive line next year is not looking pretty right now. I mean, if you were to remove Bolles from this list here, you only have 2 starters returning, Cushenberry and Miners. And Cushenberry, I mean, I've just been proven wrong. Unfortunately, the injury hasn't helped, but he has not looked like someone who's going to be here past their rookie contract. Miners has been awesome, but you have no idea who the left guard is going to be. Are they going to re-sign Reisner? I don't think so. Maybe if they can get him for cheap. I don't think they're going to compete in the open market for him. And right tackle is once again a revolving door for this team for the last decade. So if you were to lose both your tackles and your left guard, you better take that pick you got for Bolles and use it on an offensive lineman. All right, we talked about 3 players that Mile High Huddle outlined as possible trade candidates to kind of hit the reset button on this team. If you had to trade one of those 3, who would it be? Put the jersey number in the comment section below. I'll be looking. Let me know your thoughts down below.